Overloaders, how are we doing? Hopefully my mic sounds good. It just crackled in my ear.
Mm.
It's the NFL season. We watched a really good game last night between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and now we
Hmm.
have the Seahawks to look forward to on Sunday. We're going to be previewing the Week 1 matchup with the San Francisco 49ers, the dreaded enemy. And yeah, Griff, do we have
Yeah.
time for a preamble?
Well, briefly, hey man, football's back. That was awesome. Dak Prescott is very good at football.
Unreal.
I think we were talking about this pre-stream.
We were that
Uh,
excited by it.
yeah, Shotty handled play calling duties and head coaching duties on the fly pretty well.
Yeah,
We I like his offense too. Frankly, the blend of under center and shotgun with one of the true mentions at the quarterback position and Dak Prescott in the league.
do you know what I
Um,
liked as well, Griff? Like
what?
seeing CD Lamb. I mean, not drop the ball. That was not ideal. But what I
Yeah.
enjoyed was seeing him find ways to shift pre-snap, give his quarterback very easy read, and then throw the isolation play to CD Lamb. Like, how many times did it go to Lamb on the slant underneath, or like the comeback, or the
Hmm.
hitch?
Hmm.
Tried to go at Pickens a couple of times on the one-on-one stuff. Like,
Hmm.
he has so much balance in his passing attack, his run
Yeah.
game, formationally, conceptually. He's
Well,
he's our guy.
he schemes like he has like a field general quarterback from the aughts, from the zeros, and it's like they have a plan that allows them to institute a plan for like everything, like their pressure plan, um, their protection plan, and their drop back game is really advanced. They have so many checks involved. It really allows like Schottenheimer can just do anything he would want, um, because Dak can handle it, and so their working relationship is pretty cool. And honestly, I don't know. I think that offense will be really good. CD
Yeah.
Lamb caught a couple of passes, man. That offense was kind of cooking, and their run game is there also.
The thing
Um,
I always have with Shotty, like, and he always seemed pretty good at, is he always seemed to have the right beater in for the coverage they get in the high leverage situations. Like,
mhm.
think about the drops from Lamb. Like, he completely destroyed the rules of the coverage on both those plays. And then the fourth and three, like, there's criticism of going for it in that situation, like, as in taking a deep shot, but like, perfect call for man to man, like slot fade. Dak laid it out there, just slightly unfortunate, I guess.
Hmm.
Football's game of inches, right? But fine margins and all. But yeah, a really enjoyable game. Dak's such a good player, and I did tweet last night, but or tweet post last night, but people forget that Shotty was kind of hounded out of Seattle by the Smart 12s and even reportedly, right, Russell Wilson's camp. So, and Russell Wilson maybe himself. So, right. Yeah, to the right. It was more to the point actually that they, when we watched the tape, it was pretty apparent that they like needed some other plays other than like what was in their drop back pass game, right? And so they basically had to add some runs in there, and and they couldn't run the ball. They were so inefficient at it. They were just terrible. So when they increased the volume of runs, so that was really what tanked it for them. And well, and Griff also, a certain former Seahawks and 49ers cornerback, replied to you on Twitter about what he made of Brian Schottenheimer's stuff. You and Rich, right? You go way back. Yeah. No, well, hold on. That's not all he said. I can hear you. A chat. Are you trolling or 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 hear him or see him? Hold on, Griff. I
How about
I
now?
can hear and see him.
Can you guys hear me now?
What?
Uh-oh. Should I leave and come back?
No. It's crazy. I can hear you and I can see you. No. Don't leave. Don't leave. Look at these technical difficulties. Do we think it's because week 1 of the NFL season everything just goes to pot? All right. I can you open up YouTube Drift and see if we're actually here? Like I can see you. I don't know. It was odd though because I couldn't hear you when you first joined. What? That is so odd. And then I can see you, and then apparently I'm just talking to myself here. Yeah. Technical difficulties here. We were having a great discussion about Rich Sherman talking about Brian Schottenheimer here as well. Chat, while we're waiting for Griff to come back, overloaders, how overloaded are we on the 2025 NFL season? Do we think the Seahawks are going to beat the 49ers? I controversially picked the Seahawks. I think Monjombo logged it as me going 12-5 for the Seahawks. I don't remember doing that. However, I did say that they'd probably win a few games, but I had them losing both games to the 49ers, I think. So we're going to talk about that.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Right, is Griff back for people?
Uh-oh.
You're not back?
Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Am I real? Am I alive?
You're so real.
You guys are giving me a complex. I don't know if I'm like am I being gaslit collectively by the masses here? I was filming a Billy Bob Thornton T-Mobile commercial. Can you hear me now?
We might need to actually hit it, Griff.
All right, Maddie.
I don't even understand that popular culture reference.
It's a commercial, an American commercial.
Oh, great. Which is basically American culture, right? Just commercials, right. Consumerism.
Yep. Consumerism.
Yeah.
Consume, spend.
Right. That's going to be a funny preamble for people. Maybe our best preamble ever.
Yeah, that'll be confusing. Maybe we'll put a note in the comments. All right, here we go. Hit it.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where Griffin and I are going to be looking at the Seahawks.
Wait,
versus
where did Maddie go? Maddie, are you there? Just kidding. That was a joke. I pranked you. It was a prank, bro.
Yes, so we went on the NFL season is here. And Griff, I picked the Seahawks to lose both games versus the 49ers. So that is going to be what we dive into. Monjombo allegedly had me going... Well, he alleged that I had the Seahawks going 12-5.
12-5.
Yet dropping both games against the 49ers. So I don't know what happened in our last episode. Make sure you check it out because we did dive into the kind of deeper details of this 2025 campaign for Mike McDonald's men. Griffin, where do you want to start this? I think really we should probably talk about offense versus defense versus offense. Keys to the game. One player to have a big game on each side of the ball. How many snaps does Nick Emanwari play? Arroyo.
It sounds like
you're 40 minutes total. Is that a plan?
Sure. It sounds like you're reading off of like a script there almost.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe someone like you wrote the script. Okay.
Perhaps. So, that's our general outline. I had them going 10-7 to recap last episode, and splitting with the Niners. I have them winning this week.
Mm. I I think in my reflections, I think I have them going 11-6.
Okay.
Right,
Well,
Griff. So Robert Sala, ever heard of him?
yeah, Robert Saleh, but I don't know. Should we do the 10,000 foot view thing first? How do we characterize how this game will feel and go generally? Week one's messy and weird. It doesn't really, it's not very useful. It doesn't have a lot of predictive power for the rest of the season. But
No.
I think there are some caveats of that statement because any one game itself isn't very predictive to begin with. And so I think week one being not having a lot of predictive powers, one, just it only being one game, and then multiplied by the newness of the season and game plans change and all that stuff. So
Well,
anyway,
like the NFL is weird as well because I'm not sure at what point like in season tendencies become a thing. It's
mhm,
generally like teams come out of the bye week and they're like, "Oh crap, we have these tendencies. We need to establish these things, or we need to change this stuff as well." So,
right,
um, but basically, it's almost a different sport down the stretch where teams really dial in on others' tendencies or changing their tendencies or focusing on getting good at a certain thing in preparation for the postseason, right? Or some teams quit. So like,
right,
but to your point, like week one is kind of a real fresh moment for the season, right? There
yeah,
is
it can be
endless possibilities.
high variance. So I feel like this game is going to be a inglorious slop fest, close game. Um, Tightly contested. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties. I think both teams are going to have like some disaster series on both sides of the ball, and then some series where it's like, all right, this is what we envisioned ourselves to be. So I don't think either team's going to come out roaring. The Niners are pretty banged up. The Seahawks are pretty healthy. Um, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But we also have to keep in mind it will be Jalen Sundell's first game starting at center with a new group, and just communication stuff will be a big piece of this game. There might be some things to work out just from a procedural aspect. Um, so yeah, so let's get into this game plan.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I mean, you kind of alluded to Sundell and the game plan, and so obviously it's week one of Kubiak's offense in Seattle, right? And we didn't even talk about in our cut reaction episode the fact that Torrey Horton beat out Marquez Valdez-Scantling to the point that MVS got cut, which is really exciting in terms of Horton as a player. And
mhm,
Kubiak's got to work out like how much does he trust the rookie to play, or how much can he live Griffin in tight splits, as we've discussed before, with Cooper Kupp and JSN on the field at the same time. The NFL is getting increasingly condensed, something Mike McDonald mentioned in his press conference. But Griff, like, we'll probably say this thing a lot for a lot of the season because I think it speaks to, well, football in general is like this, but it's especially true for the Seahawks offense and defense and how they're like constructed and how they game plan and want to scheme, right?
mhm,
But what happens on the early downs, like first down,
yep,
is so crucial for like this Kubiak style of offense. Like when they are able to run the ball or their run action threatens, but when they're in their kind of base mode and they're not having to get in like pure drop back stuff where
mhm,
stuff tends to be a bit less fleshed out, they will
mhm,
cook you. Like if they're successful on the early downs, they're gonna generally cook you.
right,
Um, Likewise, Robert Saleh's defense, right, who's now back in San Francisco after being fired as Jets head coach.
mhm,
Similar style to what the 49ers have been doing the whole time, but they are really kind of gearing up to go at you on third down.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. So like the first and 10 menu for this team is run game, play action, and for this team specifically, run game, play action, and quick game. And if you are successful in that on first and 10, that means you can access those three buckets at the same rate on second down. That means you're setting up second and 5 or second and 3, right? And you can do all those same things because a quick game completion will convert a first down. But if you fail on that, if you run a lot on first down and get stuffed, or your quick game is just really sloppy and not great executing, and say you can't get your play action routes to pop, or say you only do one or two of those three things and not all three, then you're setting up 2nd and 8 in your series. Your ability to convert a series will depend entirely on what you did on that first down. So, like you were saying, so I think that Kubiak will start this game what will look like conservatively on first downs, but I don't think it will be conservative. I think it will be more exploratory to see what he can get away with only calling play action, run game, and quick game, to see like, all right, how sharp can we be on 1st and 10 to set up the rest of his series, which is the subtext there is that means he's not accessing his drop back game, because I think he wants to do as little of that as possible, but he has to see how little he can get away with doing there, because eventually they are going to have to, gun 3-step or under center 5-step and get the ball out and like read the play out and try to puncture the defense
When
at the second level.
Griff, when you say eventually, you mean like as the season progresses, right?
Well, as the series progresses, but also within a game, a series, a drive,
Right. Okay.
as you get more into the game
Mm.
plan, and looking at this, you mentioned MVS and everything. So I mean, looking at their skill group, theoretically they're horizontal skill group, right? They win horizontally with their feet in the ground, breaking into space. And that's
Yeah.
fine. We've seen skill groups where that's kind of the only thing they do, but how good will this group be at
Mm.
that? Like, this is
It's a
33-year-old Cooper Cup. It's Arroyo's a rookie, right?
right. Like when you traded DK Metcalf, and you got a decent return for him, but there's then a question of how vertical the offense is. Like, who is that stretcher? Who's the guy you want kind of clearing space out for the intermediate guys, the horizontal movers, right?
Yeah.
But also the guy who is a genuine threat to go and win on a one-on-one vertically, and you can throw a deep ball to him, and he'll roast the corner and score a long touchdown, get you the explosive play in that manner, the vertical nature. And Horton Griff is not the fastest player. He can do a bit of that, but that's not really his skill set. He's more of a horizontal
Mm-hmm.
guy, to your point as well.
Well,
And so
he's
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
well,
What?
I
Yeah.
think like what the 49ers scheme does so well, what Salah does so well with his DBs is they're very good at adjusting the cushion that they play with and clamping up certain concepts. And if they're not threatened too much vertically, they will
Mm-hmm.
get tighter and tighter to these kind of horizontal things we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good at reading stuff like that.
Right. So I was just gonna say, with as you're saying, like, they are a horizontal skill group, but I don't know if they're as good at doing that yet as they could be or should be. So a little bit of vertical stretch would clear up some space for them.
Okay.
And they don't have that via MVS. And I get moving on from him, but there could just be some immediate like or deficiencies there as a whole unit. So it's placing a lot of stress on Horton to be that guy. Now, Horton, like you said, is not a deep threat in the vein that MVS is. He's more of a deep threat in the sense that he's just kind of a complete receiver where he can kind of do a little bit of everything. Like how Sidney Rice wasn't a deep threat, but you could still run him on a 9 route, right?
Yeah.
Just because he's a good route runner and you have to just honor it. It's not Tyreek Hill can threaten the whole shell, right? So they'll have to play around with that a little bit. I wonder, like, here's the question: when it's time to go Max Pro Yankee or Max Pro just throw a post, who's the guy? I mean, JSN can turn if it's cover 0 or pure cover 1. JSN can turn around a single safety. He doesn't need to burn guys. He just needs to win at the break, and he can run into space, right? But when it's time to, like, all right, it's a race to the end zone, and I'll scheme you the leverage, you win the route. Who's that guy? I mean, probably Horton, but how many snaps is he going to play? Like, how ready will he
I
be?
I
You
don't
know?
think he can really threaten to take the top off a defense. Like it's an interesting receiver group actually, well, and skill group, because there is a lack of like genuine like blistering pace that like every other
Pace.
offense.
Yeah.
But it's probably like the slowest offense we've seen in Seattle for. 20 years. 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 20 ye
Yeah, yeah, it is
years.
slow. And the thing is, a lot of what drove Darnold's production last year were air yard throws of over 20.
Mm,
So he will absolutely shred over the middle with JSN. There might be some picks here and there. There
mm,
might be some incompletions, but the completions will also be there. You know, the highlight completions will be there. But is that enough? You know,
mm,
he's not particularly sharp in quick game. He isn't. He's not particularly adept at getting to his check down. He's actually kind of inaccurate throwing short of 8 yards. Oddly, it's the high intermediate and that kind of 20 to 30 yard range, and the occasional post throw where he kind of feasted. So I'm curious to see how Kubiak ties it all together, but none of it will matter if they're not sharp. Again, like I said, in quick game, in the run game, and hitting those play action crossers on first down, second and manageables, so that you can essentially just repeat your 1st and 10 offense. So we'll see there. That's
well,
early down though.
well, Griff, also early down wise, like, should we talk about who the 49ers have in terms of their personnel?
Are we talking defensively for them
Yeah.
or off? Okay, yeah, go for it.
Well, obviously, a big factor for them in terms of when they're in base mode, right? That they're defending run or pass, um, is Fred Warner, right? And then they
Hmm.
lost Dre Greenlaw, but now D Winters, who's 24 years old, is playing the weak side backer spot for them. You really like D Winters, Griff, and obviously everyone knows about Fred Warner and his abilities. So those linebackers are kind of, they're arguably. I mean, we just saw the Eagles guys last night; like they were incredible too.
Hmm.
But these linebackers can run, hit, cover, and like they're very good at stopping the type or dealing with the types of stress and constraints that Kubiak is going to try and scheme up on them, right?
Yeah. So Dre Greenlaw, I'm kind of a notorious Dre Greenlaw, not hater, but I always thought he was overrated. Um, they didn't have him last year though, so Winters is an improvement on what they had last year, just because of the injury to Greenlaw. Um, Winters to me is he's not great with contact, but I think his range against the run is really impressive. So for him, it's a matter of keying things quickly. Um, Coverage though, I mean the coverage skills and tools are crazy. So between him and Warner in coverage, um, I think that's going to be interesting given how Seattle will likely build out of over the middle completions, but then the Niners have really good over the middle coverage in theory, or at least they have historically, and they probably will continue to. That will be interesting, strength for strength. Um, and but yeah, so like they're kind of soft in the interior. The offensive line should be able to move them up the middle. Um, all right. So I'm
Yeah.
hearing that my mic is cackling,
Well, we just did
crackling.
it again. So whatever you're doing, don't do that.
Okay. I don't know if I'm doing anything though.
That's so weird.
I
Um,
might I might need to forget the headset.
no, no. Yeah. So you said soft up the middle, right? The D line for years was like nearly 10 first round picks on the D line. Like it was ridiculous. It was so well stocked, and that's kind of how Salah likes to build his defenses out too. Um, they drafted Alfred Collins out of Texas in the second round, Griff, D tackle. And the vision there is that he's big, he can move very fast in short spaces. And I didn't watch much of him. Like, we didn't really watch D linemen this year because it wasn't a massive need for the Seahawks. But if the like, he kind of flashed occasionally in the games where we watched Murphy the season prior. Um, he just gets upfield. These guys are just gonna go like at D tackle,
Hmm.
and they maybe aren't as good as they were last year. Although Collins is or in previous years, although Collins is a kind of scary proposition. But it's gonna be a test for the Seahawks in that their face to D line in practices where they're kind of looking to not get too upfield. They're gonna like try keep blocks off guys and like play for like 1.5 gap technique and that type of stuff, and play with a bit more control. The 49ers are gonna shoot up the field. They might even get reach blocked. They're going so fast. And so it's a different style of front and a very aggressive style of front in terms of aggressive getting upfield rather than aggressive like knocking the crap out of a guy and trying to almost quasi two gap on him. The other addition, Griff, that they made is first round edge, Michael Williams, which is an interesting fit because as a run defender, and we're talking about early downs here, as a run defender, he's very, very good. Like him and on the
Mhm.
edges, Griff, him and Nick Bosa, like just on paper, it's very hard for the Seahawks to run the ball. I think on the perimeter, you'd think, right? And lo
Right.
and behold, like a lot of their plays are going to be like type of outside zone, core offense type things where it's going to be a very tough block for an AJ Barner in line to go and get that guy. And so, or even like Charles Cross, like if you know how's his play strength looking at left tackle coming back from what was it? He like hurt his thumb or something. Like
Yeah.
Michael Williams can jack a guy up, and he's a and read blocks, and he'll make splash plays on the edge. Like he'll align wide and then knife inside for TFL when the block allows for it, even though he's technically got the
Hmm.
outside gap responsibility.
Yeah.
Like he just makes splash plays on early downs, and then we know what Bosu can do. We've seen it for so many
Right.
years. So I think this like the 49ers front with all I said about them, Griff, lacking like nearly 10 first round picks as they had year on year. I think on early downs is still like a really scary proposition for the Seahawks and a great early test for
Mm.
them. Just
Yeah.
that like those two edges are very scary. Like they fly upfield. Like they may be a bit soft on up the interior. I wouldn't disagree with that. But then you've got D Winters and Fred Warner flying to the ball
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I agree with you. I think there's for week right now, there's a talent advantage on the interior for Seattle, but on the edge will really be a battle. Cross and Lucas against Bosa and Michael Williams, and we're just talking run game here, right? So, and I agree with you. Like they set hard edges. It's hard to get a lot of width on them, kicking them out. Whether it's the front side of zone or like an actual gap scheme, right? So, given that, I feel like the solution is try to slow them down by throwing as much actions at their keys as possible to try to slow their eyes down or make them process as much as possible. So a lot of this offense creates a lot of extra blockers, right, at the point of attack and or even backside via split zone. So a lot of tight ends in motion, a lot of fullbacks trying to move them. Um, we might see so like that will kind of slow them down, right? But then we might also see some more precise zone adjustments, like the what is it called, the T kick, the tackle kick,
Yeah,
where the
we saw it in the preseason, I think.
yeah, so where the tight end blocks down on the what is it? Yeah, the tight end blocks down on the edge, then the tackle pulls to try to create a new edge, and it's still zone everywhere else. So the tackle goes and finds like the near whatever it is, the nearest either linebacker coming down to the first level, or sometimes if you get like a 5 technique and a 7 technique, right? The tight end will block down on the 5, will pin the 5, then the tackle will pull on Bosa or Michael Williams to try to kick him out to give it more air. So we'll see a combination of things from Kubiak. One thing we know for sure is that Kubiak will game plan them. So yeah, I'm curious to see the full Kubiak bag to
Mm.
try to take on and soften the edges up a little bit. Because like you said, that blocking them straight up will be really difficult.
Yeah, and it could be that it's going to be interesting from the Seahawks perspective. Like Ken Walker's making his way back, right? Uh, how does that split look like with Zach Charbonnet and is Walker? Is it going to be like a big Walker cutback game? Like how disciplined is he running his zone track versus like trying to be creative? Because the Niners at times do live real big cutback opportunities, and they kind of get washed on the backside sometimes, or they get too. There's like different layers to their line where the front will get really kind of upfield but outside, and the back will just kind of get cut off, and then there's an opportunity basically for the cutback, but it's how Walker tempos that out. Like obviously he hasn't taken too many preseason snaps. He's taken none in real action, right? I think, and so it's how that kind of shakes out. And then Charbonnet, yeah, like it's a big opportunity for him. to kind of warrant more snaps. And another interesting thing, Griff, is when talking about these offenses and how similar they are in terms of Kubiak, Shanahan to McVay, that type of stuff. McDonald, unsurprisingly, described the Rams as largely 11 personnel. He then described the 49ers as largely 21 personnel. And then with the
Mhm.
Seahawks, he said that we're multiple. Now, it's to his advantage to say that they're multiple because no one's actually seen what this thing looks like. And in the preseason, they were very much just 21 personnel, like and 12 personnel, right? But like base offense. Griff, to me, I interpreted those comments, particularly in this early down discussion, of Robbie Oots basically is not going to be playing Kyle Juszczyk number of snaps this season. I think, Griff, as we've discussed before, but I think, sometimes there'll be two tight ends on the field, sometimes there'll be three tight ends on the field,
Mhm.
and Oots is going to be splitting time with those guys. And we're not just talking about Arroyo here, but we're talking about Callowup, who impressed us in the preseason. We're talking
Mhm.
about Sorbet, the former 49er. And then we've also got the fullback who's more of a tight end and maybe a bit more mobile, whose name I'm totally blanking on. Ferguson? It's not Ferguson.
Um, we're talking Seahawk tight ends,
Number
or
38.
I don't know numbers. Is that Brady Russell?
Yeah, Brady Russell. I don't know why I
Oh,
said
okay.
Ferguson. Anyway, yeah,
M-
Brady
My
Russell.
my sin as a fan is that I don't know numbers until I see them.
Right.
Like if you
I
just
don't know names until I see the numbers. See.
interesting.
Right. So Griff,
Because the way
let's
I identify them on tape is their body silhouette. It's not their
right. So
number.
Griff,
Anyway.
let's go to later downs.
Okay, late downs. So, well,
So
real quick though,
what's the late? Oh, real quick. Okay.
first down. So we talk about game planning. That's personnel, but game planning from Sala on first downs. How does he have a pressure plan for under center? Does he send a lot of
Yeah.
contained blitzes? And then what
He
coverage does he
he
play behind it?
He plays a lot of fire zone from under center. He plays fire zone where he'll send the slot
Like
defender.
Sam and Will stuff, or he's sending the slot for real,
He's sending the slot for real and Sam and Will stuff.
and then spinning the safety down to the slot.
Yeah,
Okay, so
uh,
just basic, but it works.
yeah.
It's all about
That
timing.
and that's pretty much it. Then if like a team gets in like gun 12, he'll start sending the nickel and playing like palms.
Occasionally he will send Warner against full slide protection under center, like right up the middle to try to find the crease in the slide and try to get a guy right. Like he would do that to try to get in Russ's face a lot, to try to kill deep pocket play action, like in the cradle, or in the pocket. I know I'm curious for that, but
Build a bear.
build a bear. But late downs though, Maddie.
Late downs. Well, this is a big test, right? Because I don't think the 49ers have the pass rush talent that they had in previous years. Like Michael Williams still has a lot of development there in that area. Bryce Huff's a guy who's familiar with Salah. And it'd be interesting to see what the 49ers four-man like pass rush is. Generally, they want to get pressure with just four guys. Um, and generally, that's going to look like maybe moving Michael Williams inside. Like his best stuff might come as a three technique. A lot of his best pass rushes on tape were kind of aligned as a four. I am kind of working angles on a guard,
Mm.
and getting inside the guard or outside the guard rather than coming off the edge. He kind of good at working tight to guys in a phone booth. So that would be interesting if it's Bryce Huff maybe on the edge, and then Williams is a three technique, and then Bosa on the other edge, and I'm not sure who the
Yeah.
second interior pass rusher is, but that's going to be a thing, Griff. But also schematically, it might be an opportunity, Griff, for them to pick on a Seahawks lineman.
Yeah. So I think the one Bosa is a mismatch against just about anybody. So Abraham Lucas just got his extension. I'm happy that happened. I'm gonna take Bosa over Lucas though in a one-on-one battle. It's just I think
It,
anyone would.
right.
Um, so
I
like,
think they might get along.
oh yeah, maybe,
Yeah, they might. I
maybe
don't
in
think they're
between,
battling.
maybe outside the whistles, they
Right.
will.
Yeah.
Kind of like when a hitter gets on first base and chums it up with the first baseman type of thing.
Look at
And
us.
yeah, baseball guys.
Who'd have thought it?
Ty, if you want to join, hop in, tap in. But so I think Bosa will give them trouble just in the regular format stuff. But like you said, schematically, the relative weakness of the Seahawks O line in Week 1. I mean, I feel like most of us would be inclined to say like Anthony Bradford's one-on-one blocking, but I don't know. Aside from when they pop in Michael Williams, I don't think that the Niners really have the three technique to just kind of like hammer a mismatch there. I think they're going to do it by challenging the communication between two inexperienced interior O linemen
Mm.
in Jalen Sundell and Gray Zabel. And we saw,
Wi-
go
w-
ahead.
well, not to sorry cut you off, but like the communication between the two of them in that famous Kansas City Chiefs game. Who could forget week 2 of the preseason, right? Which is the type of game that we'll be talking about for years to come. But the communication between them two was like so good that you're like, wait, hang on, they played together like in college. Like, wait a second, is this like a special chemistry? Like,
Well, right.
are they
Okay.
roommates?
Fair that they do have chemistry, but
That was more run blocking though, right? Not pass pro stuff.
it's pass pro where yeah I'm thinking yeah. So the chemistry on the combos is awesome. Like they do it in their sleep type of thing, right? But in protection, I'm more so worried about like twists, stunts. When someone is crossing Gray Zabel's face, he tends to, excuse me, like overcorrect. He turns his hips. He honestly doesn't play with great technique on inside moves, but that's because he's so athletic. He almost doesn't need to. It becomes a problem when you have someone else crossing face from the other direction. So when the three technique um, hammers the A, stunts into the A gap, and then a nose tackle or a middle linebacker is crossing face back into the B gap,
Mm.
he's never square to detach and move on to the guy looping over the top of him. So that's what I worry about a lot. I also worry about Sundell just being aware of that and the on the fly calls that they have to that they might have to use. The whole communication aspect is in part why I was partial to Oluwatimi. I think that stuff matters a lot. Not that anyone thinks that doesn't matter, but if Sundell were to have breakdowns, I feel like it would be in that area. So I think we're going to see from Sala on pass downs, on the second and longs, and the third and whatevers. A lot of putting five guys up the line of scrimmage to kind of force man protection,
Right.
to force
Everyone's going to
five
be
zero.
one on one that way.
Yeah, just straight up one on ones. Like, hey, who can bull rush the 300-pound center, the low density 300-pound center? Can anyone just bull rush him? Again, Michael Williams just one on one.
Football's so funny. Like, if 300-pound guy's tiny.
I know it's crazy. Yeah. Or just then that's when you're game planning the stunts. A lot of cross dogs from D Winters and Warner. Those guys are so fast, D Winters and Warner, that if you can just pop them free, they're going to close. So that's where I really worry about this team in Week 1 in the
Yeah.
clear passing
And
downs.
as I was saying about Michael Williams, like he does need development, and he is a pass rusher. Well, you need development overall. He's a rookie, right? But particularly as a pass rusher, that was like the area of his game that people highlighted as requiring like some work. But and that's why you love the pick. You can buy into it given his potential, right? But and he may not play inside, but if he does play inside, he does get matched up with Bradford, as you were talking about, Griff. Bradford really impressed me in the preseason in like how he's staying square for a lot longer because his feet were a lot better, essentially.
Yeah.
Now if he like as you've said, Griff, if he gets his hands on you like first, like the play is kind of dead. Like he's so strong, and Williams is a strong player from the edge, but he's not going to be able to handle that type of stuff. But if Williams is getting funky with like how he's working angles and his feet and his arm work and faking him out, and if he
Hmm.
does, like that's a great first test I think for Bradford. Like it's a winnable matchup for him for sure. Like it's up against the rookie who's lighter, as I spoke about, and requires work in that area. But it's also a guy who some of the ways he wins as a rusher as ways that Bradford's had difficulties in the past. So I'm going to be really looking at that matchup to see if my
Yeah.
Bradford preseason optimism can be uh, realized. So
Yeah. What and they might try to. I could see them putting Michael Williams and Bosa on the same side, on the right side of the Seahawks O line. Just having Mike like run tackle and stunts, where you just have Michael just like do get upfield on Bradford's outside shoulder. Just
mm,
as I don't even worry about the quarterback, just get upfield
yep,
and then loop Bosa around and see how Bradford
yep.
can transit because his weakness is going to be a speed rush, right? So he's going to
Yeah.
be so worried about gaining depth. He might flip his hips entirely to match his depth, leaving the inside stunt like wide
And
open. So
yeah, Charles Cross as well, the speed to power stuff with Williams and Gray Zabel, like just in general, he's a very impressive athlete. But how he deals with like a huge tackle rushing upfield on him against the run and the pass stuff, that's going to be intriguing. But Griff, we haven't talked about very quickly the 49ers secondary, which is kind of a list of names who've like they have familiarity with Salah. Like they brought in Jason Pinnock, Richie Grant, Siran Neal, Trey Brown. Their current they lost to, Hufanga and Gibson at safety, and Charvarius Ward was the big one at corner.
yeah,
Now, right now on paper, and games aren't played on paper, I keep saying that, but they have Renato Green and Lenore as their corners, and then Pinnock at safety with Upton Stout, a total rookie at nickel, with Jair Brown, who was there last year, listed as the strong safety. So Griff, not a lot of cohesion in the secondary, not a lot of familiarity, quite a bit of inexperience, and generally just um, not like your staple names. So
right.
kind of an
Not your
unknown quantity, but I just kind of my opinion of Salah's so high that I feel he can just work stuff like this out. Like I think he's really good at getting secondaries playing good sound football and giving them enough tools to like not get too stressed.
Yeah, I agree. I think the corners will be fine for the San Francisco, especially given Seattle's like lack of presence on the true outside area.
Yeah.
I think the safeties are going to be the relative weakness, though. Um, I like Upton Stout, but he's a rookie. Renardo Green is an interesting player to me, but it's just young players, right? We don't
Yeah.
know what they're capable of yet, what they're made of. But I do think their relative weakness is interior defensive line and safety, and then I think that they're pretty set at edge, at corner, but a little questions in at linebacker.
Yeah, well,
So
the linebacker question's interesting, Griff, because Upton Stout's 5'8", like he's a like old school kind of nickel type player. Like he's basically a small corner. He's very explosive, but he's not someone you want to put like against base personnel run game, right? Now, in terms of the linebackers, we talked about Winters and Warner, but like, who's the third guy? Like, are they are they playing Luke Gifford? Are they
well,
playing Nick Martin?
yeah, dude, Martin is so. Some Niner fans tried to hype up Martin's preseason. He was not good. He was not
Mm,
good. He's undersized and he's stiff.
yeah.
He had some impressive like explosive downhill plays, but not in ways that's necessarily repeatable or
Yeah.
translatable. Snap in, snap out.
So
Uh,
maybe then it's Bryce Huff is like the Sam when it comes to base. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, because they're not going to be playing a bunch of nickel against this. They don't have the big nickel to do
No.
it, so they're going to have to be playing a lot of base. And does that look like you said, with Huff being more of a true line of scrimmage player? Do they play their eagle or bear fronts, which
Which they
they
do.
started doing some bear recently?
Yeah.
Um,
But like how much is that like Salah did a bit of that with the hey, Salah did it with the Jets, Griff, and he was playing Palms Fire Zone from it as well.
well, which is very Carroll tree, and it works honestly. Palms Fire Zone, if you coach it well and you can handle some of the weak spots pattern matching wise, can be a really good all-purpose call. Under center, shotgun, RPO, um, still being sound against explosives. So, and when you have Fred being the mic in that, because he that puts a lot of stress on the mic to cover the interior. It's like you couldn't ask for a better middle linebacker in the league ever, probably, to accommodate that. So, I don't know, man. There's the Niners have more life on defense than I think. I want to see how sharp Sam is. I want to see can the run game do like Zabel, Sundell, Bradford move them. Like you have to move them. You got to move bodies. Like
Yeah.
you got to. I'm really excited to see that matchup because
Mm.
Zabel is going to be coming out with foaming at the mouth. Um, I've really been impressed by Bradford's footwork. He's always been able to move guys. Bradford has always had highlight blocks every year, right? He just also has the low light block. So
Right,
in
which
his
is why they haven't quit on him. Like
right, and
it's they're
I get it.
addicted to trying to make that work, and it's why a veteran NFL offensive line coach was very quickly like, "Hey, this like you kind of beat out Christian Haynes here." Like that
Yeah,
happened fairly fast. Obviously, they didn't announce it until later, but
yeah.
right, Griff. So the last thing to this, offense versus defense is the Seahawks offense, as we've covered, has similarities to the 49ers offense. And so the 49ers defense is going to be kind of familiar with what they're facing, and they'll have seen a lot of these concepts, obviously slightly different dressed up, different personnel, different guys. But Griff, that same thing works on the flip side of that.
Yep.
So the Seahawks defense up against the 49ers offense, which we're very familiar with now. They've been doing it since 2017, 16, 17, 18, 17.
17. Yeah.
When's Shanahan there? Yeah, 17? Yeah. They've been doing it for a while. We're very familiar with it, and the Seahawks defense has been facing it all through training camp and all these preparations with Kubiak coming to town, albeit different personnel. And Griff, the main factor here, before we get into like early downs versus late downs, Christian McCaffrey limited in Thursday practice with a calf injury, the 49ers running back. They obviously made a trade for Brian Robinson, who's like a very good runner, I think. Like he'll just do his job, very assignment sound, get yards, tough runner. So really where that hurts them is probably McCaffrey in the pass game. Like he's such an effective weapon for Purdy underneath, running those like option routes out of the backfield, or option routes as I'd say. Let's not code switch. And Robinson isn't really known for that. So that would be a loss for them. We don't obviously know at time of recording what the Friday practice report is and his status from that. But yeah, that's just some news around this one. But yeah, Griff, do you want a big picture this, or do you want to dive into the nitty gritty of early downs versus late downs?
For the Seahawks defense against the 49ers offense.
Correct.
Yeah, I think big picture. Yeah, the big picture is like, what do they do on early downs? I think late down Seattle has the advantage every which way. Shanahan might do some things, but it's early downs. It's defending play action. It's defending heavy personnel. The 21-12 quasi, one is the other type stuff, the formational flexibility. We talked a lot about that this past offseason. What is Mike McDonald's his own 1st-and-10 game plan? Does he send pressure to attack run scheme, not just pass protection? Run blitzing is a thing, right? So what does that look like? How does he handle flat issues, mismatches in the flat? You juice check against Tyrese Knight in a one-on-one situation, especially combined with the run pass conflict. I'm going to take the Niners in that scenario. That was Seattle's weak spot last year. They were one of the worst defenses in the league defending the flat last year. And it doesn't matter who it was, even Witherspoon, because their flat defenders are Dodson and Baker, who are no longer here, but now Tyrese Knight, Devin Witherspoon, Kobe Bryant occasionally, Julian Love occasionally, all of them struggled. So I think it's more like a scheme/emphasis thing, like coaching the emphasis within the calls. It's not that the calls themselves are necessarily disadvantageous. It's just getting your eyes trained to when the slide motion crosses to your face, or you get the running back flaring out to the flat fast or something, you're coming from depth. It can be hard to get there in time. So what does that look like? Hook depth will be really important from the linebackers as well, with the in-breakers coming over them. They struggled with that against San Francisco last year. So, just what does that look like? I don't know, Maddie, do you think we see anything fundamentally different from Mike on 1st-and-10 against under center?
Not
21 personnel.
maybe not in week one. I think it's more of the same. Like for me, I look at their D line. I'm seeing obviously Jaron Reed impressive, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams. Like what in terms of base, Griff, it's going to be like variations of under, right? Where it's like 5 guys on the line. Like how McDonald kind of fixes issues or fixed issues last year was having Leonard Williams play like on the tackle, right? Like more of an
Hmm.
end,
Yeah.
and then have like Reed and Murphy on the in the middle, right?
Hmm.
I'm intrigued though. Yeah, I'm interested. Like, is that gonna be? Do they need to call up a Quinton Bohanna like for 355 pounds of mass, and or Pilly if he's healthy, he had a good preseason at 334 pounds on the practice squad, or do they just roll with what they have? They say we've got Demarcus Lawrence who can also play some big edge, and we're kind of confident in what we've got.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know because I mean I have so much respect and um fear, I guess, of the 49ers offense and how they're able to move the ball. And
I
I don't
guess
know, there's the Seahawks were they did struggle.
for me, I just want to see something that is demonstrably different on paper
Yeah, I
on
know
first and 10, than
you
we
want to
did
see
last
like
year.
some movements towards where the run's going. You want to see some like pressure off the edges, right?
I
Like
want to see movement, just like throw action at them when they load the core up, when they form those four-man surfaces, when they
yeah.
have two guys in the backfield, all of it, just throw stuff at it
So what
and see what happens.
Yeah, so what you're talking about there, basically, Griff, is shortening an edge, like building a new edge of the defense,
Yep. Yeah. So, um,
stopping them from getting really wide on you, forcing them to tighten their
mhm,
track because you're building a new wall, basically.
mhm. And maybe even when you think about when you blitz into the front side of outside zone where you send like the nickel or the overhang strong side like free at the running back to try to force either an early cutback or kill it in the cradle. Shanahan and all these guys, they know that's coming, so they find a way to even get the edge on that guy
Right, which
with
is what we've seen in previous years, right? And
so
last year we saw that, like the cut up. We did a podcast which you can check out, listeners. Very pertinent for this week on Griff put together a cut up of the Seahawks struggles versus heavier personnel and
right.
kind of what we're speaking about here. If you need some
So
visuals,
so as the defense via that tries to create an even wider edge, and then as the offense counters by trying to overlap on that edge, even the next thing is to send the corner, the outside corner. So that we see some cat blitzes from the outside corner, just to like disrupt, break the structure of the run scheme,
mm-hmm.
and see how that happens. That means you got to play some sort of like cloud coverage over the top of that, so some crazy shifty coverage calls to match up with it to pair it all up. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how that happens. I think if you get this offense into 2nd and 8, even though the Niners are really dangerous in that mode, the Seahawks defense is the best defense in the league on 2nd and 8 or 3rd and 6. So it's just going to be a game of like, all right, if you guys win this first down, you're going to convert this series. If you lose this first down, you're not going to convert the series. So it's kind of like a will they won't they coin flip. And really, both sides of the ball, this game will be determined 1st and 10. So,
Yeah,
yeah, and not every game shakes out that way, but I think this game
no.
will.
For me as well, like Shanahan's got more into like 11 personnel, right, and dabbling more with three wide receiver stuff, and um like an interesting area if he were to choose to do it would be, does he try and force the Seahawks like into big nickel looks and and run from the shotgun, Griff, and get into those kind of four-man surface type runs that cause like the structure some issues, but also like is he going to try and get rookie Nick Emanwari out on the field,
Yeah,
and kind of isolate him and go at him rather than that fifth Seahawks big D lineman type guy, like make the Seahawks play four down like a 4-2-5, but Emin Warrior is the Sam kind of guy. And
right.
and and is this the test where, or is this the game where we see what the vision was for Emin Warrior and that he can fix those things, or McDonald tries to use him to fix those things?
Hmm. And the big thing there is how quick does he trigger? Is his body going in the right direction right off the snap? That's what will determine like his value, I think. Um, and the advantage of that is if Imamori can work out at nickel, that means you have Devin outside for run purposes also, like we were just talking about. Like the outside corner against Shanahan
Mm-hmm.
often matters in run defense. So when you put Devin at nickel, it's great. You've got him at nickel, but you also lose him outside, just that extra guy that can really add to the math. Um, so yeah, it can be hard to get the edge because he can string things out if he's on the outside as well. So yeah, do we want to answer some questions and then briefly preview the Raiders?
Well, we have a nice question here and donation from Shiv. Good to see you again, Shiv. Can you explain the Mike McDonald defensive scheme's approach against the Shanahan outside zone in the context of Hannibal crossing the Alps? And Griff's disappeared at that point of time, but I think Shiv, that's kind of what I was speaking about earlier. Like, do they need another elephant from the practice squad, Griff? How many elephants do the Seahawks have? Are their elephants a bit lighter than they would ideally want? So what we're talking about there is the elephants staying on the field in different circumstances, aka nickel bear fronts. The big nickel, M and Worry just fixes everything. Which is what he'll do. Wait, Gr- Gri- Griff is off? Tell me you heard that. They might just be reacting to my Hannibal thing. We are. I, I don't know. We've never had this with Streamyard before. Yeah, okay. I guess we just can't turn the camera off ever. It was such a good answer. I feel bad. You're gonna have to like DM Shiv the answer. No, he's gone. No sound and black screen. I think you're gonna have to just rejoin, Griff.
Am I back?
I don't think so. I think you have to like close out of it entirely. This is so bad. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Oh, he was back. Oh, see the slight delay there. We've messed Griff around, chat. Look what we did. Do you have any score predictions? My score prediction is probably not going to be very popular.
All right,
Um,
I'm back.
yeah, you're back.
All right. Damn it. I had a good answer for Shiv too. So metaphorically, crossing the Alps with the elephants, right? That's you're taking personnel and putting them in an environment where they normally don't operate, right? So and then also I also said this, I think I got cut off. He didn't just cross the Alps with the elephants. After the whole Alps thing, he crossed a bunch of swamplands and marshes with his entire army as well, and that was just as crazy of a feat because a bunch of guys drowned in mud and stuff. And they anyway, so but he did the opposite of taking the path of least resistance because the enemy would never expect it. So in this case, taking the path of least resistance would be to be throwing action at their wide zone scheme, like we were talking about with the pressures and the nickel blitzes and the cap blitzes. In this case, he's going to fight through those formational stress points with elephants. So Leonard Williams at six technique, playing defensive end on the first tight end to a four-man surface, just
Mm,
body the guy,
mm,
fight through it,
mm,
fight through the lack of mobility just with pure strength.
mm.
Um, Eamon Worry just bodying the second tight end would be the plan, to come down and set an edge. Um, I think the equivalent would be just playing it straight up, but with personnel management as opposed to scheme management.
And ironically, Griff, Pete Carroll used to call his Leo defensive end position an elephant, right?
Very true. Very true. Funny how
Which
that all.
transitions us nicely to the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right, Raiders preview
Yeah,
on
so
the
chat,
season, really.
you know what you're doing. Like if you're an overloader, you know we care about the Las Vegas Raiders. So
So,
I don't want to hear that Griff's not a true fan. Like we
or you,
what?
Maddie, why do you hate Mike? Why do you hate Mike McDonald, Maddie?
Because I'm the host.
Um,
Um,
so the Raiders team, man. First of all, I think the first thing is Pete's scheme is back. It's not what he did with Clint Hurt. It's what he
yeah,
did before that. At least the core structure.
yeah. I don't know like how tinfoil hat you want to be about what happened when they decided to like do away with a defensive language that they'd been using for 20 years at least in his career, like in an off season, and fire your like close friend, and then suddenly go to a Vic Fangio thing when that was the hot trend, and embrace all of Vic Fangio's language. I don't know how tinfoil hat you want to be, but for some reason Pete Carroll's gone back to doing what he did way before that, like when he's now in a position where he maybe didn't feel any pressure or whatnot.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So it's Pete's base stuff, Griff. It's Boston and Frisco. It's
Boston and Frisco, and Stone Boston and Rock Frisco, all that. So he's putting five guys up on a scrimmage. He's
or six.
matching, or six even. He's matching offensive personnel with defensive personnel. So if you're in 12, he's in base. If you're in 21, he's in
Yeah,
base.
he's not
Even if you,
playing Devin Witherspoon at nickel and 12 personnel versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, like
well,
running the ball all over.
that said though, they've got Jamal playing nickel,
Yep.
playing big nickel, and they are doing a little bit of that. So he's also playing actual Sam too, though.
Yeah,
It's
he's
some of their
listed as an
calls.
outside back on their website as well.
Yeah, but so like, what is a nickel against 12? He's a Sam linebacker, but they're still playing their nickel calls though.
Yep.
But they're also playing Jamal at Sam in their base calls. So even though it's similar, he's playing legit. He's learning the nickel position and he's learning the Sam position and he's
Mm-hmm.
learning the will position in dime as well. And I don't know. People look at their defensive roster, and I feel like I've seen this story a million times. You've got underappreciated run defense players.
Yep.
You've got a secondary that at the very least will cap air yard explosives. So that's the pitch for this Raiders defense is run defense and capping air yard explosives.
Yep.
I don't know about play action. I don't know
My
about the drop
concern
back.
is like it's Devin White and uh Jermaine Pratt, right?
Well,
And then
Pratt,
Landon Roberts is
yeah,
playing like
Roberts is the Mike.
he's playing like Sam Landon Roberts.
So Roberts is playing Mike.
Is he?
Devin White's playing Will, and Jermaine Pratt's playing on ball Sam.
He right. Devin White is?
Devin White's the Will. Pratt
Who's
is
playing Sam?
Pratt. He can't move anymore. He can hold up against the run, but he
Are
can't move.
you alright.
He's a
Maybe I
flat
got the
defender.
numbers confused.
And Landon Roberts is the Mike. So I think that what does that add up to? And Patrick Graham has been routinely making lemonade with lemons. He's officially one of those DCs that can do that. And in my opinion, that describes Ken Norton Jr.'s tenure again. There are a lot of parallels. I think the defense will be top 20 in points per drive. I don't know about the efficiency. I don't know about the EPA. Patrick Graham, the past 2 years, he'll put his flair on it, some technique preferences within Pete's structure. On pass downs, he'll spice it up a little bit. Pete was mentioning that he likes to blitz a lot on pass downs. The Belichick background shows up. But what's cool about this marriage is, and I watched some of the Raiders film last year, they approach formations and like formational alerts the same way Belichick and Pete do. There's quite a bit of overlap. They have very similar defensive line philosophies. Patrick Graham, the past 2 years on early downs, is like third in EPA overall. Late downs is bad because they haven't had players. And it's hard to BS when you don't have talent on third down. So
I am afraid, Griff, about like the two linebackers, Roberts and White.
It's not good.
That's not great. Um, and I do think they yeah, I'm intrigued what that looks like against play action. Although, are they better positioned for playing the AFC than the NFC?
It's a good thought. That's a good thought. Um, we'll see if this defense bases out of like three buzz. I like Jeremy Chin against play
Yeah,
action.
they were doing a bit of that.
So I
They were doing quite a bit of three buzz actually against the Cardinals
yeah,
in like gun.
true. Yeah. So if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm looking for how high can Graham and Pete take this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They got John Glenn coaching the linebackers. I think he's a good
I,
linebacker coach.
uh,
Offensively, go ahead.
Griff. I was so troubled by this play from Gino that I dreamed about it.
Him missing the
I
open.
dreamed about like I don't know if I want to share this. I dreamed about like asking Geno Smith a question about like what he saw there.
That's insane, Matty.
Yeah, because I
All
have
right.
asked Geno Smith questions before, like in person. So it's not a
Yeah.
total like
Yeah.
weird like fantasy. Like
Maybe.
as a football fan, as a coach, like I want to know. I think he was. So it's dagger, right? Like
Yeah.
the clear out's wide ass open.
And the
Then the
dig is
dig
up.
is open, but and then the check down's open, and he goes through the whole progression. I don't know if he's like trying to play on time too much, and he's like going, "No, you're not there in my progression. You're not there in my progression." But the check down was maybe, maybe that's something they talk about in the film room afterwards. Like, hey, look, we got to be better at timing. Like, this is why I did this. Like, blah blah blah. But
Because,
then he like
yeah.
spins out the back of the pocket for no reason, and then finds. I think it was Michael Mayer, right? Or was
Yeah.
it Bowers? It
It
was
was Mayor.
Mayer. Yeah,
It
it
was
finds
Mayor.
Mayer for like a Russell Wilson style like yeet
Right.
on like a
It,
curl.
I think he just had a brain fart, dude. He
Yeah,
might. He
but
might have.
that was awful.
Oh, it was bad. It was a bad rep. Um, Outside of that, I think he's looked good, accurate, sharp, confident.
Right.
The dig route he hit to Mayer against the Niners, going through the full progression, thought that was pretty good. The pocket
Um,
work seems to be back.
Drift. Have you heard of a guy called Dante Thornton?
Yeah, he's not very good.
What?
Okay,
What?
he's okay at the catch point. The routes are not great, man. The route details.
Well,
With,
yeah. But
with, go ahead. Go
Drift.
ahead.
He played for Tennessee.
So the coaching wasn't great. Is that what
Drift.
you're saying?
Drift. He's 6'6" or 6'5", right? And he ran a 4.340, and he can block.
He might he might factor in the red zone, but he'll be like the fifth most important target on the
He's
team.
the only guy they have who's playing X. Amari Cooper saw him and was like, "I'm retiring again." Just saying.
Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, who's like really good.
Who asked for a trade?
He's not going anywhere.
Right.
Mayer, Trey Tucker, who is a post threat,
Mayer, who won't be on the field every snap.
will be on the field a lot though.
You think?
Those four will be more important. Thornton will be big in the red zone. I don't know if he develops, cool, because he'll have a big target that can actually play the ball. But I don't know if the routes will be there. All right, but dude, graphing the 2022 and the 2025 Seahawks on this Raiders team, it's distributed differently, but the aggregate talent is roughly the same. Plus Chip Kelly, like I'll always be a Shane Waldron defender, at least for his work in Seattle specifically. I thought it was fine, that scheme, but I'll take Chip Kelly any day over Shane. So equal talent plus Chip Kelly, Geno in a dome, like the offense, honestly, if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be disappointed if they weren't better than like the 13th best offense by all measures. They should be pushing for like eighth, to be perfectly honest. So if you're like the 18th ranked defense, the 9th, 10th ranked offense, you can win 9 games. That's how I see this team. I'm officially predicting 10-7, but that's probably my, rosy optimism speaking. But
How many teams do you predict for 10-7?
roughly half.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was fun. I can't
All
wait.
right.
They've got the Patriots, the Seahawks have the 49ers. Griff, we'll go live after the first game of the season, right?
Yep, I'll be there.
There we go. And
All
then
right.
what do we have Sunday night football, which will stop people watching us because it's Sunday night football? Probably a good game, right? Ravens Bills. Oh, that is spicy. The week one slate is nice. Like
Yeah,
it's
they know
very
what they're
nice.
doing.
The only game that sucks is the Colts Dolphins game. That is bad.
Well, except for superb middle linebacker play.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zaire Franklin, boy.
Okay, I'm not going to acknowledge that. All right,
Right. I
hold on. Maddie, do you ever think about how I am enough?